without further ado, as the technical gremlins are getting us, I'll keep that preamble a little bit shorter this week, and hopefully Gareth will be here, at least here in full and in HD, as we have joining us on the call on this Thursday night. It's GRAPPL Gareth. Hello, Gareth. It's going well, mate.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You sound good. Do I sound
good
crackly to you? Is it just the end of it that it's coming out crackly on YouTube? How do I sound?
Nah, you sound all right to me. Clear as a bell, mate.
Okay. What's that, sorry?
Clear as a bell.
Okay, there you go. As clear as ever. But no, you were a big fan of the live we did last week. What is GRAPPL Gareth usually doing at 5 o'clock on an evening? What's usually going on in the house? I assume fights between the kids. I assume teas are getting made, and I assume there's all kinds of kickoffs going on. What's 5 o'clock happening in the Hodgson household?
Normally, I'm chasing a deadline because I've had to fucking just run off for an hour just to pick one of them up from the train station, and then the other invariably turns up at the train station fucking on the next train after that saying, "Can you pick me up?" So there you go. I normally do double duty on the old trips to the train station there. So yeah, it's normally work, but managing to skive a bit this last 15 minutes here. Done me work for the day, mate.
Oh, good. All sorted, yeah. Me too. This is my work for the day. This is my full-time job at the minute. But I was gonna say, getting you on, like, I've got to say, it's a depressing way to start. But like, people brought it up, and it's
I'm not doing WWE.
Well, yeah, there is that too. But obviously, yeah, the news of Diego Jota and his brother, like, it's just unbelievable. Like, I can't, like, yeah, how have you all taken it? And like, yeah, I just feel like any Facebook, all my Facebook, all my Twitter, it just feels like it's all everybody's talking about. Even like the Everton pages I follow and stuff like that. It's hard to kind of avoid speaking about it, even though we're not technically a footy podcast. But I can't. To be honest, my Liverpool tie-in this week was going to be John Cena's Scouse impression, but maybe I'll save that for a weekend show tomorrow with JP. This is obviously much more serious matter, but I still can't believe it's real. I just assumed it was fake when the original reports came through.
Oh, it was wild. Like I was literally on a meeting at work, and then somebody just on the meeting was like, "Just pause there. I've got some news to break," kind of, and then just let the news out, and I just was like, "No way, that can't be right," kind of. You just immediately just assume it's just some bullshit like rumor or something like that. That's but then yeah, as soon as you're seeing it on the proper news sites and things, just wild. I've just been in shock for like pretty much the majority of the day, to be honest. You're just like absolutely stunned. It's just, it's so mental when something like this just happens out of the blue, isn't it? Like,
yeah. Our Peter was saying that I've not actually fully spoken to. I think I saw him tweet about it, but like he's in Portugal at the minute, and I think there's like is it true that you can just come and go? Like it's a bit like here in Ireland. There's no real. I mean, there is a border between here and Ireland, and it's a whole controversial issue. But you know what I mean. You can get back and forth easy enough. I think that's the truth. That's what it was, wasn't it? They were going kind of back and forth. Him and his brother between Andre Silva. Do you know his brother Andre Silva? Is that a name that rings a bell?
No, I think he's just it was played in like second division in Portugal, didn't he? I think I've read today, but it's just like, again, you just think of him as well, like, and then you just like your thoughts just immediately go to like family and think you've just had two like sons wiped out in one fatal swoop. Like it's just it's insane, and you just
got married too, like you said, yeah.
That's the like for me, I was in shock, and then you're in shock. It's like you're a Liverpool player, so you feel that kind of closeness, I suppose, that it's one of your players. But like it wasn't until I then saw the photos of like him at the front of the church fucking 10 days ago with his like wife and his 3 kids and that was just when tears came for me. Like I was just like, fuck me, like 20-year-old lad just got married, he's got his 3 kids there with him. You're like, fuck the football, kind of, almost in a lot of ways. You just obviously he's probably there thinking he's just won that with Portugal, he's won that with Liverpool, he's just got married, and he's just like, he's probably having the best year of his life, isn't he? And then suddenly just fucking like that, it's just gone. Like it's just
best few weeks of his life, like it just doesn't seem real when it comes out. It's one of those news stories. It's just like, yeah, everyone's just trying to react to it, and everyone's trying to kind of make sense of it. Everyone says the same thing. Oh, it's no age. It's not. But like, it doesn't seem enough, does it, to say that? Like how tragic it is. It's just, yeah, shocking.
Yeah, and it's like it's one of those. You sort of like you're thinking of naturally, like you think of the football and you're just thinking of like good moments and stuff like that of him. But then that's just that just gets it. I don't know. Again, that just like heightens the upset, I suppose. Kind of is to just be thinking of it in them terms as well. It's I can't even, I can't get my head around it. It's crazy.
Awful stuff. But there we go. Obviously, your thoughts with everyone really related, and obviously, like I say, it's a bit weird, isn't it, when like two people die and the brother's a bit more famous, so it's kind of all the news is about him. But I'm sure like the family, like obviously suffering way more. Like you say, the fact that it's both of them, the fact that it's him, and it's his brother as well is just awful. So yeah, obviously, sorry to hear about the death of his brother Andre Silva as well, and of course, obviously Jota's going to get headlines. Even like being out here, I saw like the Bangkok Post covering it and like the Vietnam News covering it and stuff like that. It's just huge story. But
well, Sarah said to me at like dinner time, she said she'd heard something that like because he'd had an operation, he'd been told not to fly to wherever he was flying and to drive instead, or I don't know if it was like to a connecting thing, and it's like like you just think like some random thing, doctor tells you to drive, not fly, kind of thing, and that's the fate that's suddenly like dealt you just by some twist of fate. Like it's just like you can't.
Everything changes in a second.
Can't account for it, can you? Yeah, it just makes you think like every day sort of thing. Like actually, this is precious time, kind of that we've that you've got, and enjoy it, fucking, and don't sweat the small stuff.
Absolutely, and that's what we try to do. But I'll try and move us on. I mean, I'll try. I was going to go into plug mode and talk about some of the shows you've got coming up. I kind of want to draw attention to the chat first, and just on a lighter note, Connor's after pickleball. I want to know what pickleball is. I want to live my life to the full. I've been obviously trying to get involved in some of the they say expat groups, but you know what I mean. The non-local groups of the people over here of the travelers like myself and basically digital nomads and knobheads in coffee shops. They all seem to play pickleball. And I still don't understand what it is. Is it badminton? Is it like a squash variant? Is it like I think the paddles are smaller. That's all I kind of gather from it. But literally every corner you go on in Vietnam, especially Da Nang, it being like a tourist beach town and full of those types of digital nomads, there's like coffee shops and there's pickleball courts and there's like adverts for pickleball. And I still don't know what it is. I don't understand.
Nobody tell Mark Briscoe. He'll never shut up about
it. We got a T-shirt out of it, won't we? He'll sell that. Good.
No idea what it is.
It's the new hotness.
Young person's game.
Is it table tennis mixed with badminton? Maybe I think that's maybe what I've seen. I've seen a game like that where it's kind of like it's got the way like the table tennis rules are. It's got to bounce and come back up before you can hit it. I think it's like that with like a low net maybe. I don't know. I don't understand. So Eddie here with breaking news. Apparently Cody Rhodes has been cast as Colonel Guile in the same Street Fighter movie that Roman Reigns is in. He's going to fill those boots of Jean-Claude Van Damme. Were you on the Street Fighter film club we did? I can't remember whether you liked that film or not. Got a real soft spot for it, and Jean-Claude Van Damme's terrible performance. Cody could only be better than that, to be fair.
Yeah, again, it's one of that's the one with Kylie in, isn't it? And I think I was on that one, but yeah, there's thing is, it's gonna be one of those where if there's wrestlers in it, obviously gonna watch it just to see how the wrestlers get on there from that point of view. So it's gonna have its own little charm, I suppose, from that end. Is this going to start a new debate, like who gets the better reviews, Cody or Roman? Is there a new challenge here between you and Matty or something like that, based
who gets
on
the most screen time? Who spends the most time on the cutting room floor?
yeah, based on the reviews or something like that. Well, could be opening doors here to new challenges and the like. So yeah, I don't know. I'll watch it anyway.
Yeah, we will. It'll end up being a podcast, 100%. We'll find a way. But I got you on here, Gareth, this week for this live. Obviously, like I say, we got quite a few things coming up on the Patreon, and we will have you on for the history, the story, of the European title coming to WWE Vault near you, I assume, following Sunday. So look forward to their collection after Connor does all the hard work and puts the European title matches together for our very short looking playlist. To be fair, sub 3 hours, which I like. Good to we'll spend longer than that talking about it. Obviously, it's what we do, but we got that coming up. Got Connor's show coming up. We should have you on that as well. And obviously we got Bash at the Beach 96 coming up. Speaking of Handfoot and me, we'll be reviewing that. And in July. But yeah, looking forward to that one. Bit of a European title lore. Have you started doing work yet?
I haven't started it yet. Don't need to. It's a breeze. This one. It's like a fucking gift from heaven. This, isn't it? Just
2 hours 30 minutes before we start. That's what I usually do.
having like
That's usually my way.
like less than an episode of SmackDown to watch for a fucking Patreon show. Like I'll take that all day long. So yeah, it's just gonna be interesting. Just going back and like I think I'm more excited like from a memory perspective to go back to sort of the earlier stuff really and just get into that in a bit more detail. But been able to do the revisit the full run, and I'm sure Matty's going to be filling in plenty of blanks along the way and things.
Oh, yeah.
You know, random matches that we're never think about ever again in our lives or anything like that. But he'll pull out of his ass from nowhere to talk about that. Fill in the blanks. No, looking forward to it. It's something a bit different, isn't it? So yeah, should be all good.
I'm told there's 2 William Regal matches in there, so good Lord, God help us all. So just to interject as well, Connor in the chat saying here, it is pickleball is table tennis sore and played on a badminton court. There you go. Volley-based game, essentially for either a former tennis player or people who are terrible at tennis. I am terrible at tennis, but I'm good at badminton. Maybe I should start playing it with the hipsters, who knows? But yeah, like I say, we're doing these lives as a way to advertise the feeds that we've got. And of course, if you want constant access to all our stuff, patreon.com/grapple, and you get more live streams that go a little bit like this, to be fair, with Spotlight and weekend show over there, which I'll be doing with JP tomorrow. But like I say, we thought we'd get you on, Gareth, to answer the big questions, really, kind of a broad conversation about AW 300 as the clickbait title says. I've actually been accused of clickbait today. Somebody jumped in our last episode of Spotlight saying that we were just having a go at Phil for clickbait and we were typical CM Punk haters. I was kind of like, I mean, one of them called us kids as well, and I was like, I mean, I can't even resist replying to this one. I mean, if I'm a kid when I've been in the same rooms as and watching young Phil Brooks since 2003 and 2004, it's one of them. Whatever team t-shirt they're on, the Matties of the world are always going to come after you and claim bias and claim grief, and it's kind of just how this game goes. But I say it's not clickbait. It's just there to we have the conversations and then we try and drive interest out of it. But I wanted to drive the interest today to kind of get your take on 300 episodes of Dynamite. Don't worry, we're not reviewing all 300 of them, but I feel like it's a conversation that needs bringing up, as Tony Khan was on Twitter yesterday, talking about Dynamite being closer to its 500th episode than it is its 100th episode at this point, which makes sense from a match point of view. Also, time, Tony Khan, thank you for listening out there. I think he was replying to it. I think it was Sean Ross Sapp tweet who said something like the year 2050 is closer than the year 2000. I don't know which of those two hurts more, but yeah, that's the world we're in. Did you think at the start we'd ever be at this crazy lofty point? It's gonna. At some point quite soon we're going to be closer to 500 than even Dynamite 1, and that is just maybe just showing our age, mate, or maybe it's just it's something that we should be giving more applause to, more attention to, and Tony Khan should be taking those laps of honor.
It's it's time. If we always come back to it, and you just think it's now becoming like COVID years have become like a benchmark from a time perspective now. For me, it's like, oh, it's only 5 years since COVID for like this, and like applying that logic to things, and then like stripping things back to like, I think we talked about something the other day, and it was like, oh yeah, that was like WrestleMania 1 to WrestleMania 5 is like COVID to now and things like that, and then you almost like apply that same logic here to like AEW, and it's mad that it still feels like this. It is this new challenger entity kind of thing. It's this new, different things. But I think this episode of Dynamite like hammered that home even more for me. Where I was, you just look at like the main event of like a Carter and Ibushi, and you're just thinking like, wow, they were headlining the Tokyo Dome yesterday, weren't they? Kind of, you're like, oh no, actually, that was like 5.5 years ago, and then like AEW was in existence and has been in existence like all that time, and it just feels insane how much difference that there is from that point of view. And yeah, it's like fair fucks how many like wrestling startups have kind of like come and gone over the years, and whether it be at an indie level or even at somebody trying to do something a bit more like major, and they've stand the test of time in people's minds, and they're here and gone, and fucking AEW's still here and they've got that big TV deal behind them and everything like that. So, there's no signs of them going anywhere anytime soon, either. And they've sort of gone through that dip and, sort of pulling out of the dip as well, coming back the other way as well. So again, just it's not like they've gone that length of time equivalent to a WCW or something like that, where you're like, oh no, yeah, we're absolutely in the dregs of death here, sort of thing. Like, it's not even the case. So it's just, you've just got to, you've just got to look at it and go, yeah, all right, propped up by a load of cash behind it, but generated a load of cash themselves as well through the TV deals as well. So can't argue. It's Stonewall success, isn't it?
It's crazy, exactly that, because it's like, you think of like how many TV shows like big, and again, I know wrestling's different because not many other TV shows get to be on every week, but it's a it's almost a pat on the back of wrestling, isn't it, that you can do that, and it is like that. That's what's attractive about it to TV advertisers and TV companies, that like, there is this thing that never goes off, like 300 of them. Like, I can't even picture there being that many Dynamites. It's absolutely insane, and it's a genuine achievement. Like, whatever you think of AEW, where they've gone or where they're going, and I think we're all a lot more positive now, aren't we? And we're all a lot more like, charitable, I think, to Tony Khan, even when he was out doing the media rounds again, talking about how AEW were up. He didn't say year over year this time. He wasn't borrowing your old phrases, Gareth, but it was something along. He was kind of trying to spin it that like, well, they're up from December. And it's like, I mean, they're always up from December. Like, numbers are always down in December. It doesn't really, but he's trying to grasp onto any positive he can, and like, this is obviously the other big positive that he can get onto right now. And it's like, I feel like I want to be on that ride with them. I want to be like on that positivity train with them. I want to be able to pat them on the back and say well done. It is genuinely unbelievable. Like, but at this point, there are some. It's like when they started. Like, me and JP had loads of conversations about it. I wasn't the biggest booster of like doing weekly TV wrestling. It was kind of like, another, I was like, can we not think differently? Can we not have like, I think TV specials was kind of my personal pitch early on. If I could have got in a room with Tony, like a UFC type of model or something like that. But like, they went the old wrestling model and they went that way. And like, a lot of the questions at the start weren't even just, will he sustain it for this many episodes? It was like, will they be able to fill the houses enough, to pull TV off every week? Because they were just a startup. Yes, it was impressive, we're at All In time, but yes, it was impressive that the first All In took place, and they got so many people there in quote unquote Chicago, close enough to Chicago for that show. But like, could you do that every week with a company that isn't WWE? Even that, like, something as simple as that was unproven. And insert joke here about, yes, there have been weeks where, there've been echoey buildings, and yes, there has been downturn in attendances. We've kind of got to chronicle that as we go as well. But like, even just being able to do that wasn't a given, was it? Being able to just, present a presentable TV show every week. TNA struggle to do it still now. Many other companies struggle to find the logistics for it. And I almost feel like I almost want to use this as like, I don't know, but have we been too harsh on Tony Khan like over the years, Gareth? It's like, I think I kind of feel like when AEW's up, it's easier to be nice to him, so maybe now's the time to do it. But like, when AEW is down, I don't think we always give Tony Khan enough credit. Like, I think he deserves plenty of pelters. There's been plenty of, faux pas. There's been plenty of missteps, plenty of mismanagement. All of the things I think we've criticised for over the years, I think I would stand by. But I also think that, by that same merit, we haven't necessarily given him the credit for AEW lasting this long, for AEW's creative, got a question about that we might get into later on as well. We give him the grief for the bad things, but maybe we don't give enough credit for the good things as well, even if it's not always perfect. Like, it's taken a company run by somebody like him, and like you say, the money behind him, for us to get to this point, and for there to be 300 episodes of a non-WWE TV product, and one, and obviously Impact would count too, but one that's genuinely profitable, unlike Impact and other pretenders and people who've attempted this.
I think you say there about like giving them the credit and things on a lot of different levels, and you will be critical because in a lot of instances it should have been better. It could have been better. There have been things where they've not followed through with things. There have been things where they've taken the wrong path. And, I think as well, you've got to give a lot of that is driven by the fact that a lot of the TV, and especially in the early days, was so good. It was so different. Again, we talk about like time passing by. Like, 10 years ago, like the dross that we were having to watch on WWE because it was the only option that was out there. This alternative came in and gave us actual wrestling real wrestling on TV, like that, changed the goalposts like completely, gave us something to, where you might be able to see, holes in, storylines perspective or character perspective or things like that. You were still getting to go, oh, hang about, he's like two of the best wrestlers in the world going out there, and we're going to give him 20 minutes to just have a fucking amazing match on TV. And like, it was like glorious to even have that as as like an option. And naturally, like everybody, you get a bit spoiled, don't you? You get a bit more of that, and then so you always want more. Okay, well, the stories could be better, or the crowds could be bigger, or I wish they'd booked that match instead of that match. It's just the nature of people, and certainly the nature of wrestling fans to sort of like go in that way. But I would, whenever I've been on the show this year, I think I've, generally been AEW massive flag waver, a massive positive, and I think that, like, a big thing for me with that has just been like, massive credit needs to be given just for, as I say before, just like pulling that nose up kind of thing, getting out of that hole that they were in, coming out of the back of the MJF Adam Cole Wembley match, and that time period where they lost so many people, and then obviously the CM Punk stuff happened, that was like had a negative impact, and then the overall perceptions on the brand and everything like that, everything just seemed to be like gloomy, and everything just seemed to be critical, and there was a concerted effort online and things like that to just pick at them and things, and they've stood the course, they've fucking taken a step back, they've looked at what's going to work for them and what's not going to work for them, planned it out properly and stuck to the guns and put the right people out there, written good television, put on good feuds and have good matches, and slowly it feels like the numbers are changing. And then although, like, you look at Tony Khan pulling out some of them numbers and you can kind of go, really, can't you? But I can't, fair play to him. He's going out there, and that's almost like WWE model, isn't it? It's like pick some numbers that are pointing up in the right direction and just say things are good, and people go, oh, things are good, kind of thing, because the majority of people just read the headline and go along with it. And if that's something that they can use to help promote the brand and the product and make some people think, oh, AEW is turning around, or AEW is doing well, kind of thing, that can pull people back to the product as well. And it's just it's nice to just have the discourse out there sort of changing a little bit and just been a bit more positive, really, because for a time period there it felt like they couldn't do right for doing wrong, and everything was just put out an hour and 50 minutes of good TV, do 10 minutes of shit, and all anyone would be talking about was the 10 minutes of shit. And let's I think we're moving away from that.
I think that's, we've talked about that on a couple of podcasts recently. Like, momentum is like is hard to lose as it is to gain, kind of thing. Like, I feel like that's what's happened with WWE. They've had, for whatever we've thought of it, like this boom, either whether you want to say it's creatively or just business in general, and they've clearly, it's not like the bottoms fell out, but clearly, like, since January, as JP will often say, it's not quite what it was, and there's always going to be that delay, isn't it, to kind of lose people. But there's also, when you're doing well, you think about wrestling, like always pointed out, Attitude Era. Really, the Attitude Era started in 1997. The good WWF TV starts in 1997, but the money and the the eyeballs and all of the metrics you can point to doesn't come till 1998. Like, the bottom almost completely falls out of the company in 1997, despite how good everything is. So, like, there's a delay to that, so it feels like to cover those cracks, to wait for kind of hopefully what is inevitable, and this just general good feeling around the product to also be reflected in the business stats. Tony Khan's talking a little bit out of turn there, but like you say, it's the new front, isn't it? The new PR war. It's kind of how it goes. And like, there's a couple of good like points in the chat there under attention, like, yeah, Andy, we've got plenty of lows, pulling the CCT footage from Wembley was a low. I feel like that's a time where, to Jordan's point, Tony Khan was listening. We always say that, like, delegation's a skill, that, you're much more successful in your line of work than I am in mine, unless you count GRAPPL as my line of work, in which case we're a roaring success at this point. But you're someone who's worked in important jobs and stuff like that, and like, somebody who is a good manager is a good delegator. Like, that's just life, isn't it? They're just life skills. And like, I always feel like there was this argument creeping in of like, see, Tony should just take back full control and not be delegating it to these idiots. And in fairness, like, I knew where that argument was coming from. There was a lot of fucking idiots, it seemed to be, that he was listening to, a lot of WWE brained tropes kind of snuck into the product in like the the last couple of years or so, where people weren't so hot on it, or Tony Khan was maybe paying more attention to his other businesses. I can't believe, considering all of the responsibilities he's got, that Tony Khan's only paying attention to AEW right now. Maybe there's there's a Fulham podcast out there, or there's a Jags podcast out there. It's like, it's gone to shit again, and it's because he's paying attention to that wrestling stuff. In fact, I know that's happening, but like, he still must be delegating. To Jordan's point here, he must still be speaking. He must be leaning on people. It just feels like he's leaning on the right people. It feels like, just anecdotally from things you read and hear, and just the way the TV looks, going into this week's Dynamite, it just feels like people like Swerve. I feel like he's got a bit more power than he used to have. I feel like he can maybe dictate what he's doing, what he's not doing. It sounds like, when you hear Will Ospreay speak, that Will Ospreay has kind of got that little bit of sway now, that he can, add little bits of flavor to his programs, and, lay things out kind of the way he wants. It feels like the right people. And I'm sure, people will argue the wrong people have a bit of that power. Moxley, at times, I say I'm more than at times this year. I think that's probably been true of, but that is a skill in itself, isn't it? Listening to the right people, and he clearly is. Whatever has changed in that formula, and maybe not much has, it's just like I say, the players have changed. It's the right players. It's, Jimmy Jacobs was like the boo boy of the internet for a while, wasn't he? It might not even have been his fault, but it sounds like he's listening to less Jimmy Jacobs and listening to more Will Washingtons and Swerve Stricklands and Will Ospreays and people like that, and you can see it in the product.
And again, if that's got to be the case, like running through the other sides of things as well, because you talk about Fulham and you talk about the Jags, and if anyone, like, I always think this, if anyone believes that an operation the size of the Jaguars or a Premier League club are leaving it down to Tony Khan to be sitting there pouring through fucking data to decide which players to sign and things like that, then, I've got some magic beans to sell you, sort of thing, because like there's no way that on earth that's the case. Probably getting presented, information from people. This is who we're going to sign, and this is the reasons why, and things like that. And it's some involvement there, but there's no way that he can be as hands on from what the job title is to what the role actually is at professional sports organisations like that. And again, nobody knows the hands-on detail of what it's like from an AEW point of view. My guess is he's probably more hands-on with AEW than he is on the two sports teams. But it's listening to the right people at the end of the day, isn't it? And having that like creative input. And clearly he has listened to the people who went, this was shit, we're not watching anymore, the product's going in the wrong direction, it's not why we want to be AEW fans. And he's, to be fair, he's done something about it, whether it's of his own hand, of saying, I'm taking more responsibility for this, I'm pushing storylines and things back in that way, or it's maybe been a bit stronger behind the scenes and going, no, that's shit, that's like when we were in the bad times, this somebody else's idea, this is like good, that feeds into the good times. But whatever he's doing, it seems to be working, because everything on TV every single week seems to have a purpose. It feeds into, there's a reason for it to be there on television, that feeds into storyline development, character development, putting matches together towards a pay-per-view. There's there's a reason for absolutely everything, and it's all joined up. And hey, lo and behold, you've got a better product that's running out of the back of it by thinking of things in that way. So no surprises there.
Yeah, John says there in the chat, confidence in your vision, key to improving your product as well. Yeah, it does feel like he's confident in what he wants. Like, it feels like, because it's overblown, isn't it? He's one of us. It's like, yeah, but he's a fucking billionaire who like probably had a private plane when he was 8. He's not really one of us. He hasn't really lived our lives, and you can see that sometimes in his booking. It's like he's the kid who was never told no. Therefore, instead of having one toy, he has 4, and he just can never. He doesn't know like about rationing. He doesn't know about like making the best of a smaller amount of things. There's a lot of reasons he's not like us, but one of the reasons he is like us is he likes what we would call good wrestling and good wrestling product and good wrestling matches and all of that stuff. And I think, when you lose, when that is dissipated from the AEW product, I think it's been a little bit because he's been listening to the wrong people. And when he's listening to the right people, more to John's point, when he's, this is what I want. I want to see these matches. I want to see these programs. And he's it feels like a little bit more assertive about that. We get a better product. If that feels like it's what's happening as well. And I think, Ghost, I was going to ask you about like this, obviously, all-in build and, where we were up to with this week's Dynamite, the Dynamite 300. Like, honestly, I can't remember. Somebody said it on our Discord, but it's so true. Like, and I think, to be fair, me and JP were saying it the other week. when we had the Arena Mexico Dynamite, where it felt a little bit like a night off for everybody, and it was kind of like, you know what, that's fine, because we've had loads of like pay-per-view periods where we get to this point and it's like, all right, now we're spinning the wheels. Like the heat was up for whatever match that they were promoting, 2 weeks ago, and the heat actually feels like it's going down because they peaked too early. If anything, this time I don't think I'd necessarily say that, but it feels like it's feet up at this point. It's like the job's done. Like, I think, at least for me personally, it's like my interest level in all of the key matches, maybe Tony Storm and Mercedes aside, and the more they build that, the less interested I am interested in that one. That's I think been unfortunately a feature of their feud so far, with some highlights and other lowlights. But like, you look at something like the Mox and Hangman feud, like, I'm ready to see that now. Like, I don't think you could make me more invested in that and in seeing that and seeing where we go. Like, and then you put Ospreay and Swerve against the Bucks. They've done for a side mission for Ospreay and Swerve, like, they've made that feel important with the stipulation they added to it last week and this week with Dynamite as well. That going on. Okada Omega kind of sells itself, doesn't it? But like, it feels like mostly the job for that's being done with the Kota Ibushi stuff this week on Dynamite. Like, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see, because there have been the original AEW All-In build. We were this many weeks out going, what are the fucking matches? What's going on? And yes, there's undercard matches, but I'm sure we're still going to find out about. But we know the main 5 matches, don't we? We know there's 2 casino battle royal, casino gauntlet things going on. We know that, and we're all ready for them. We're all excited for them. If All In was tomorrow, I'd be made up. I'd be throwing that money down, or I'd be letting you throw that money down and then logging into the Triller account under your account. I'd be there though, mate. I'd be watching it either way, like me, you, and presumably JP were this afternoon when I got kicked out of it. But like, yeah, I feel like the job is almost done, and it's a positive this time. It feels like feet up time. And Dynamite's like this week, it kind of allowed them to just have a bit of a celebration. I would have liked more of the party. I would have liked more of like, here's our history over the last 300 episodes, but maybe they just thought they've done that a lot recently. But like, really, it was just like, here's a load of fucking cracking matches, and here's a couple of angles to kind of tide you over to get us to All In. But like, yeah, we're kind of there already, it feels like to me.
I just think they're just a phenomenal job of like the matches that they've put in place for this, because as well as the matches that they've laid down, feeling like they're important, and you've got a reason for every single like one of them to be taking place, and there's things that like sort of matter about everything that's been included so far. I think just the way that they've just led other sort of sidebar things into it in the booking in the last couple of weeks. Like, you look at that show from last night, and it's just been Mina Shirakawa who's in there against Mercedes, who has got that relationship with Tony Storm. So you've got that, you've got that element in there. Go back to the main event, and like Kota Ibushi in there with Okada. They've got their own history in themselves, but then obviously you've got the Ibushi like Omega relationship and things like that. So they're using the tools that they've got around them that make sense within the, if we want to use the word law of the wrestlers involved kind of thing, to again like advance things further. Like I feel like in years gone by, that match that Mercedes would have been having on the show this week would have just been a randomly against Thunder Rosa or something like that. Why? Because kind of thing. Or Okada's like match in the main event there, it would have just been, he's in there against fucking Brody King or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it would have just been something like that. But it felt like, no, there's an additional layer here to what's going on that's involved because of the good storytelling that you've told to get to this point as well. So it just, like, I say before, everything about it just feels like so much more joined up. And then even when they have then like pushed some matches in there, like, Swerve and Ospreay, then they've done a good job of like making it make sense. Even the matches there that they're sort of like, dropping in and around it there. I'm guessing there's going to be a Hurt Syndicate tag title match, obviously with Mike Bailey and Knight, and that's got elements that they've put in over the last couple of weeks. It's bringing a bit of meaning to that as well along the way. So again, it's so so positive. The stuff that they've lined up there. They could literally put on a 6-match card, which obviously he's never going to do under a million years, and it would still feel like value for money and great because of everything that's been built towards that. But even some of these like under matches that have still yet to officially be announced, there's stuff going on there. There's angles that relate to them. There's something that's happened post match or something like that that's gonna bleed into it. Nothing's just happening just because, just to fill a place on the card and make the pay per view last longer. And again, that's always going to be like a huge positive. I'm so excited for the show. Like it's one of those where I'm like, I wish I was there. I wish I was going. Like
Yeah, wish it was in England, because he said that this week, didn't he? Like, it's Coldplay's fault, so we can all fucking blame Coldplay, because they were they're touring. I think they got multiple shows at Wembley, haven't they? Come up, because we all thought it might be Oasis's fault, but apparently it's them who pre-booked Wembley across the weekend. That Tony Khan would have wanted. He's gung ho that he's coming back next year. I mean, it's a complete side conversation, but like, I guess that's what these lives are for. Like, all right, Tony, good luck, mate. I mean, I don't know as much as I'm positive on AEW and as much as the feeling feels positive. Bloody hell, Wembley again next year. Thought that might have been the excuse to not do Wembley anymore, but hey, I don't know what the numbers might have been. With but hey, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt if they can do a job building it like they've done this shit. It's got building it. Maybe the attrition won't be as bad as some of us think it might have been.
Yeah, if they, even if they achieve a similar amount of people who were there last time. Like that'll be great. And if the product is picking up, if people have had a year off from going down to Wembley and making it a thing, it's going to feel a little bit fresher and a bit like something that you want to be at and go to as well. So it's got that element of like the shot in the arm too. Who knows what the product will look like in 12 months' time? But if it carries on the trajectory it's done in the last 6 months, then like you're giving people a reason to want to be there, because, like I say, I mean, that main event, I was like frothing at the mouth at the end of that segment there, like desperate to see the match, absolutely desperate to see the match. And like, again, you think, Christ, like if that's, your world title match that has just been built to that extent that like, I'm like, I just want to see Hangman getting the win, lifting that belt. And then obviously the crowd reaction and the feeling and everything like that will come around that. It's just like, just desperate to see it happening. And then like, what better way to get people to want to buy a pay-per-view than have a match or matches like that where you really, really like emotionally invested in wanting to see the outcome.
I think maybe Tony Khan's shown his hand a little bit, or maybe just the news reports have, because like obviously it came out this week that the plan was originally to have Darby Allin. They hope to have Darby Allin back for the Owen, which tells me they were going to have Darby Allin win the Owen, because I think that ties really nicely into the story. I feel like Mox is alluding to in his promos that Hangman and Ospreay were kind of, no, you have it. Maybe that was overblown. Maybe there was, more to that conversation than got reported at the time, but it almost feels like Hangman stepped into that Darby Allin role. Whatever the story was they were going to be telling with Darby, it was going to be similar to this, but it was going to be him. But it's so much better for Hangman being in the role. Like, the segment this week on Dynamite, like I wouldn't have done it. Hangman like being so like he just seems like a nice fella in real life. He says all the right things, even down to like when he talks about the world title, it's always the men's world title because he doesn't want to put down the women's world title. You can tell that's the real Adam Page who's that's just what he's like. Follow on Instagram for kind of what his politics are and just the type of cracking bloke he seems to be. But like going the angle of like him hitting a woman, which is obviously not something that you see much on wrestling TV these days, and is something that AEW have tried to kind of avoid as far as like intergender goes. But like they've been hitting this Marina Shafir point for a while, and obviously trying to get physically involved, and multiple times hitting Hangman. Even then, I was still like, I just don't know if I'd have done this angle. And then obviously when Hangman at the close, hits the buckshot lariat and takes her out. And I was like, you know what though, like it's an awful thing, and I'm still not 100% sure if I'm on board with it being on wrestling TV. But like that was the only way you could have done it. And if you think about like what that means for like the Hangman character, that like he's kind of shown, hasn't he, like in making this a Texas death match, like the point they're trying to drive home is he will literally do anything to get to that little title, whether it's the right thing to book on your wrestling TV or not. Like the story narrative there, it works so well because it's Hangman Page in this spot. You tell the story so well because it's him kind of going to that place, which you kind of be lame with any other character, but like just shows like, and they've done a great job of showing over the last 3 weeks, whether it's on purpose because of that news story or not, that man just wants that world title. That man wants to beat Moxley so much, and like because he wants it so much, we want it so much, and we want to see it. And like they've just nailed that like little like character development over the last few weeks for him. It's just great to see, isn't it? It's high level stuff. It is. It's not, you know, simplistic storytelling. Like it's complex, and he's a complex character, and that's works so well for this build and this big match. I can't believe it wasn't the original idea. I can't believe it's, you know, something that was still being discussed even a couple of months ago.
Yeah, and it's one of those where, you know, no one's going to sit here and go like, oh, yeah, this was the intention of the Hangman story arc with the way things have gone. But what they've done is they've been able to like lean back into the way that the character's gone over that period of time to then make it like more than like running up into this. And you know, the fact that, you know, everything that he's been through there in his first title run, the stuff he's gone through with Swerve and things, the way that his characters like evolved over that time period, they've used what's gone before to make the present have more meaning rather than it being something that they've necessarily like planned out further ahead. And again, you know, that's something that you've got to like give them real credit for, is that ability to do that, and then to you know, to lean into that. And now, you know, the way that even, you know, for a period in this build up to this match, like bleeding the Swerve stuff back in there and then out of there kind of thing as well. Like it's just enough. It's just like nothing's gone heavy handed. There's just that subtlety to certain things that have gone on, that care and attention to detail. And then now again, like, you know, me and Matty have talked about this on like a few retro shows where like sometimes shit happens, someone gets injured, so then you have to change the match on the fly, or somebody takes the ball home, and then so you've got to change the match or the feud on the fly and things. And that's sometimes that can, yeah, sometimes it can make things shit the bed. But if you've got enough going on around the fringes because you've been booking other stuff well around it, then it means you can pivot to something else, and then you can make it make sense, because if everything around it makes sense, then your new direction almost by default like makes sense because of the things that you can lean into there. And I almost feel like this is one where, you know, I've heard on, you know, Spotlight weekend shows, and you still having this thing of the Darby Allin in the back of your head, and I've just been thinking like, there's no way that cannot be, there's no way that can be plucked out of anywhere and pivoted back to now. It just would be totally nonsensical. It would be totally the wrong decision to go back to, because you've got to take a step back and look at what's going on in front of you, and like look at the success that you've got. Look at the strength of character that Hangman is. Like there's 0% of me. I'm here to be shot down and proven wrong, but there's 0% of me that's like Darby Allin ain't involved as he's not the guy to take this off Mox kind of thing. Like now, if that's like a fundamental U-turn to the way that AEW have booked things over the last probably 9 months, I would say to you know, try and shoehorn something like that back in. And they've, like, you only have to see the reactions for the live crowds. You know, the reaction to Hangman on that show last night. People are desperate for it. I'm fucking desperate for it. I just, like I say, I just want to see him. I want to see him hit that fucking lariat, get that belt, and just be there. And the baby, you know, it's almost a bit Brett WrestleMania 10 moment. You know, you almost want the kind of like Hangman on the shoulders sort of thing, and of the baby faces at the end holding the belt, and you know, it's everyone having that good time in the same way that we had like with the Anarchy in the Arena with the baby faces on the ramp, and you're like, oh, what a set of lads we can get behind here, kind of thing. And it's got that baby face element to it, and I would say as part of the turnaround, like, again, you're probably not going to agree with me, but like, I was saying it in the run up to that Swerve match, that I was like so much more positive on Mox and his role, like from a like Death Rider point of view, and I just think that has totally turned the corner like massively as well, in like the way that they've built that on the other side. Because whereas initially it felt like it had that sort of change the channel heat or go away heat going on about it, like I think you've got a genuine pure heel who is behaving like a heel, that is allowing a baby face like Hangman to shine even more on the other side. Like, it feels to me now it's genuine heel heat that they've got there, and I think Mox has been great over the last like couple of months in terms of where he interjects himself in matches and then disappears off. You know, I think some of the promo has got better. I think the role of Wheeler as like the shithouse on the side, Claudio has been that kind of like muscle man who's pushed to the front kind of thing, like the muscle of the group to you know do the dirty work. Marina Shafir is someone who I'd never rated at all, but I think she's come into her own there. And even if that last night is the payoff to that, to everything that's been built to that, I think they've all just sort of like slotted together as sort of knowing the roles a bit more and being real heels that are getting booed in the building. No one's trying to be cool. No one's trying to be the cool heel to get any cheers or anything like that. They're leaning into the heel stuff as much as possible and not doing it in a heel 101 playbook kind of way that so many heels try to be in the modern world of wrestling, like a John Cena or a Jungle Boy, that then by proxy just don't work kind of thing either. So I think some credit needs to be given back the other way, I think.
Yeah. But strong thoughts on both of those points. Like, I mean, firstly, like with Moxley, like it was like even this week in the angle with Hangman, it was like you're the right person to be in the ring here. Like, when the crowd were trying to like hijack it with like Johnson bald and they were trying to be jokey, and Moxley just kind of powered through because he's got that self-belief in himself that like can be a positive and a negative, can't it? Like, and I think it's absolutely true. It's been a negative for a fair amount of his title run. I would die on that hill. And I think his stubbornness and his no, this is the way, has been an overall negative on the AEW product. But just in the way the rest of the AEW product has turned around, you probably noticed it bit by bit, week by week, I've been chipped away at. And I think I'm over a Spotlight this week, or whether it was Weekend Show when I was talking to Matty. But it was kind of like, I've got to be careful here, lads. We shouldn't just lazily fall into like Mox is bad. And we've always said Mox is bad, so therefore Mox is bad. You're absolutely right in saying like credit should be where it's due. And I think I've gone from Mox is still bad despite everything else being good to this is the least bad Mox has been and everything else is good to I think Mox was good, I think Mox was good last week. I think Mox was good this week. And like slowly, I feel won over. Like you say on the Hangman thing, that's another one. Like I say, like I think that Derby story coming out and like I think it clicking for me that I think Hangman's just doing, this is just Darby's booking, but they're doing it with Hangman. Kind of says, well, then how does Darby slot in afterwards? So I'm starting to believe in that a little bit more. It might be the tester for me. Like Tony Khan as a booker, like we've criticized him in the past, and he's another one, stubborn to a fault, where like his idea was always to have Darby be the one that won his title after, he probably promised it to. You make it to that mountain and back. You give your dad Sting a phone call and then ring me on the way down, son, and I'll make you the world champion. Like that is kind of the old Tony Khan, or the Tony Khan we've known. Like I think maybe that's the final step I'd need to be convinced. To answer the question somebody put in the chat about whether he's a better booker than Triple H, I think that might be a moment there if we can just stick that landing and go, you know what, plans changed. Hangman Page is the guy, and it's clear for everyone to see. It's clear for us to see. It's clear for our listenership to see. It's clear for everybody having a good feeling around AEW again to see. It's just like I just want to be 100% sure that Tony Khan is also going in that direction. But yeah, based on this week's Dynamite, that this is the closest I've gotten to kind of going, all right, I can put those fears to bed. There we go.
Imagine if he doesn't win.
I'm guessing it. What's that?
Imagine if he doesn't win. Like,
God.
Like,
God.
just when you're building this momentum, that's a pin in the balloon, isn't it? Like
there's good and bad heat, isn't there? There's good and bad heat, and that's bad heat. That is bad heat. Like, we don't want that. But to the question, actually, I'm guessing that isn't your boiling point. Is somebody did ask it was Zahid on the Patreon, who's the better booker at this point, Tony Khan or Triple H? I mean, it's actually quite a complex question, isn't it, when you think about it? But I think it's for all the grief we've given him in the past, and not just one recency biased. Is it Tony Khan? Is that an easy answer for you?
I've had shits that book better than Triple H. What are you talking about? Like, if you want a booker that books things that have they're a bit more complex and a bit more meaning, I think Tony Khan's got a better track record of that. Like, definitely, he's booked some absolute shit. I'll won't stand on that.
That's what I was going to say. The highs are higher and the lows are lower. Is that maybe fair to say?
Like, potentially. I think there is that narrative of the what phrase do you use? Competent booking or something like that from Triple H. Like maybe I'd sort of maybe just say slightly undercompetent in a lot of ways. I think you know, rode the crest of a wave of one major storyline for a long period of time, and you question, well, how much of that is centered around an element of like star power at the top and things like that, because actually when you get into the nuanced detail of booking that bloodline storyline, like that's where then there's a lot of cracks that he keeps on, keep having to be papered over, things happening for illogical reasons, turn again kind of thing. This person's friend now is foe and things, and do they fill in the blanks? Like, nah, it's fine. They'll accept it, kind of thing. Go out, play the music. Everyone will, sing along,
springs to mind.
and everyone will be fine. There's a lot of those kind of black holes, even in the greatest story of all time, TM, that's ever been told in wrestling. Kind of there with that, and then underneath that, the actual strong stories that have been booked, say over the last 3 years, few and far between, haven't they? You've even got like Matty to the point we're talking about WrestleMania this year of going, it's been badly booked. What's there, sort of thing. They haven't. A lot of what he's done is not utilize the sum of the parts as effectively as he could have done in a lot of those ways, and then in a lot of instances, he's actively taken away as well. So I'm not drinking this Triple H as a great booker Kool-Aid ever, and the best period of Triple H would always be NXT, and that was like booking by going, oh, he's a great indie wrestler, let's put him in the ring against that great indie wrestler, and let's have them do a promo every other week, and one angle in the run up between the NXT takeovers, and there you go, you lads go out there and have a good match for half an hour, and what a surprise, like these two brilliant people from PWG versus WXW or something like that are going out there and having a match, absolute killer. Like, that wasn't Triple H. That's just fucking piecing together two brilliant wrestlers to do that. And that's probably a lot of Tony Khan's issue, is that he didn't do that enough in the early days. Some of the problems we've talked about is wrestler A versus wrestler B there. Just fucking, like, they should be working together because they're both the best in the world megastars. Just book the match, like, kind of thing. And sometimes too much intricacy can take away from that as well.
Too much saving stuff for a later day, all of that. It's like John mentions here about Triple H's, for him, his last good run was 2018 in NXT. I mean, like I say, there was a point we all sat here, we did our end of year show, and we all called WWE the promotion of the year and not AEW. And I don't think the two things are unrelated. I think WWE's success, it's like AEW when we've had to go with Tony Khan in the past. We still had to stop at the end and go, but also AEW's success comes as, it's not unrelated to Tony Khan. It's not unrelated to Triple H's steady hand. But I think John hits a point there, and like that, he gets credit for that steady hand because he's the manager that came in after the previous manager took them down, or the previous manager put them in a relegation battle. Because like what it kind of crystallized for me now. Yeah, what are his two biggest success points as a booker? It's NXT. What was a selling point at NXT? This isn't the main roster. Like, NXT was like a WWE branded alternative product. It was crazy, but it was a crazy time, and there wasn't really good alternative product out there. So they almost created their own because there was a space for one. And not being Vince McMahon was his biggest selling point. Vince McMahon is out again. Triple H takes over again, and it's the exact same story, isn't it? He's not Vince McMahon, therefore, like, all of these obvious things, which are, you should probably book the heels like heels, and you should, when you've got hot baby faces, you probably shouldn't kill them every couple of weeks. You should probably just go with them and book them in big matches. Like, when we say about basics and competence, that's competence compared to what came before it. And I think that comparison has carried them so far in both of those runs. And when the going gets tough, and when he's had problems like he has this year, whether it's because of Dwayne or because it's the amount of shows or whatever excuse you want to try and give him, that's where the tough should get going, isn't it? And that's where he's not recovered. It's not like WrestleMania happened and it was like, oh, the build to that was a bit shit, and we can now find out here are the reasons why. And here comes, he comes rushing back with an amazing run to SummerSlam or something like that. He hasn't done that, has he? Like, he's had and he's had so many chances to do it. He's in a perfect position to do it. He's got a team full of players who are going to score goals for him no matter what. And like, as the manager, he's not doing his bit to kind of pull it to that next level, to take the analogy further. Like, I think he's kind of being shown up this year.
And just think, like, like you said there about like us the year before last giving WWE like promotion of the year, and like my big reason for doing that was AEW had been so bad, kind of thing, by comparison, and it was based on
Low
business
lows.
metrics. It was based on business metrics, not the products. And that's where something that I look at with Triple H is like you're booking this promotion that has got one-eyed, rabid fandom of millions and millions of people behind it. People throwing money at it, hand over fist, wanting to promote this product, wanting to talk about it like it's the only show in town. Like with an audience like that, you should be booking better. You should be putting on better things, because if you're putting on something that was outstanding, imagine the level of business that you'd then be drawing. Imagine the money that would be coming through coming through the gates. Imagine the level of buzz online. You might actually be turning TV ratings around the other way and bumping, significantly bumping things into increasing territory because of the level of promotion, that layer of promotion that you'd have just going on around it by people organically going, this is fucking brilliant. They've pulled people back to the product by competence. Imagine if what they do to the product with excellence kind of thing, but they never deliver excellence. The amount of times that I've been reeled back in the last 2 years where I've thought like, oh, I'm going to watch this show kind of thing. And then you get the shit payoff, you get the tropey ending to the match and things, you get like the subpar match work to like certain style and things, and you're left feeling like that should have been better or that should have been more. Like, I would watch it kind of thing if it was at that level, like there's no tribalism like from that point of view. And I guess there's tons of people out there that would do exactly the same, but he's not capable of it. He can't. Like he's not
he feels like a man out of ideas right now. To bring it back to Tony Khan, I thought there was a point. That's what it felt like with Tony Khan. It felt like how all bookers have the run and all bookers move on. I think I am a little bit more charitable to like Triple H's strengths, and I'll always push back and say, their successes as a business, I still don't think they're unrelated to, whatever low level we want to say the competence was as Triple H, but the way, just by putting people in those right positions and just by doing that bare minimum, like I think there's some credit deserved there. But like I say, when it comes to thinking of new ideas, when it comes to, the going gets tough, when it comes to like this period in the year where like, I think even the most ardent fans, it's going to start coming out of Matty's mouth like that. All these main events are the same. All these, we're doing the same story over and over again, like that Night of Champions show me and JP reviewed, like almost 3 matches on that show were literally built around, well, here come the run-ins, and it's like, I mean, I guess that was unique and interesting the first time you did it, but like, you can't just keep going back to that well, and that well he keeps going back to, and that's where he's struggling.
And Matty even said them words, didn't he, on the show the other week of like, then if they keep this up, they're going to lose me a bit, kind of thing. And then for Matty to be talking like that and clearly having them like concerns about the direction of the product, it just shows where things are from that perspective. And just to kind of pull back to like one of the comments that you said like all the way at the start of the show, is that delay in business metrics as well. Like there's this softening in some markets, like from a house perspective, but that hasn't come yet. But it will come, kind of, if things go this way. And you only have to just look at things like, even things like Beyonce not selling out and things like that in Britain, like recently with some of the prices and things, where WWE have gouged, high level ticket prices within, these markets while it's been on the up. Other forms of entertainment, like seeing that, it's not just that example where ticket sales are, not where that. If the product's not delivering on TV, people aren't enjoying it as much. The storylines are getting stale. People are sick of the outcomes of the matches. Are they going to be as willing to go, oh yeah, I'll drop 300 notes like that to go and watch, sit on the first tier, watch WWE? They're not, a kind of thing. And that's something that's then like, you'd expect to come further down the line. And that's where then their booking does need to, does need to improve, because in a world where there are floating voters who, will sort of flip between the two. If AEW's shit, or I'll watch a bit of WWE for a bit, or this has gone shit, I'll go the other way. Again, if they're starting to get that buzz out there about AEW, obviously you're not going to fucking lose the entire WWE audience or anything magical like that.
No.
But, it all bites, doesn't it? You want that, you're still looking at, financials. TKO are looking at things and they want them year-on-year numbers to be going up from when it comes to gate receipts and, revenue via merch and things like that as well. And that's when Triple H will be on a fucking sticky wicket, won't he? Because then, once the numbers from a business perspective start to potentially go backwards, then like then
They're waiting
his
for a chance, aren't they?
his
They're waiting for
non-family
that to seize the
overlords
footing.
are going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
actually, yeah, change him. Where's the new guy?
That's the
with the new
analogy, isn't it?
idea?
It's fucking, it's
100%.
Daishag. You drew that last match, mate. Sorry, you're out because they wanted to get rid of him. They're just waiting for that excuse, aren't they? Like, it does feel like that's over his shoulder a little bit as well. Totally. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, we can be snarky about it, and I've definitely been snarky when Matty's been on here about like how easy WWE fans are to please. I think AEW fans are actually quite hard to please. We've found over the last couple of years. I think WWE should be careful. They're not that easy to please, and yeah, it wouldn't take much for that like goodwill to dissipate, and it does feel like there are the early signs of that happening. But like, just take it back to the lead judge, because I want to, before we let you go, I want to ask a couple more of the questions people have put in. Did you have any more on AEW on the build to All In? Does anything else standing out to you right now as far as like the build and the stories they're telling? Like I say, it was a great matches, Dynamite as well, but I think it's the overall build that they've been doing a cracking job with right now.
Yeah, I think, you know, we've sort of referenced the other matches that are on the card there. It sounds like you're maybe not getting as much out of Tony versus Mercedes as I am, but that's one that's I think that still, you know, feels up there. I think it's still, you know,
I think when the bell rings, I'm going to be fine. You know,
it does feel like a match that I'm, you know, genuinely, you know, looking forward to. I like the way that they've sort of, you know, as I said before, like bleeding Mina Shirakawa into things into the last couple of weeks, and then obviously into that match at this time. Like, I think that, you know, they did a good job match-wise storytelling this week, sort of presenting Mercedes in a bit of jeopardy against her, and but still sort of having the toughness and the savviness to kind of like, you know, see it through and win. And obviously, you know, with the belts and things like that, she seems, you know, unbeatable at the moment as well, which I think is sort of a decent wrinkle there, whereas Tony has been a bit more vulnerable and things. So I do like that element of story that they're telling there. So looking forward to that one. I think the way that they've very quickly pivoted to the Swerve and Ospreay against Young Bucks storyline is something that's definitely struck a chord with me. Like, I'm definitely enjoying the way they've got to that. I think that a big problem with the Young Bucks and their characters in the last couple of years, where they haven't like hit the mark, has been because of that tie-in to being EVPs. I think getting that on TV EVP status off them, like, potentially it helps freshen up their act again even more. I just think they look a bit more motivated since they've come back this time. They just sort of look like they're in better shape. I think the matches are better. They're not going too far that way with the the hamminess of certain things. They almost feel like they're getting closer to that Young Bucks heel sweet spot territory that they were 5 years ago, which again, obviously, match outcomes are going to have a big bearing on this. But, you know, I think that's something that's you know, potentially going to help breathe life into the Young Bucks as well, which can only be a good thing with this fan base, and put a nice dynamic in there between Swerve and Ospreay along the way to get to this point as well, really. So again, I'm genuinely looking forward to that. I think that's going to be, imagine how good a match that's going to be. Swerve and Ospreay against the Bucks, and motivated Bucks in a stadium kind of thing. Like, that's going to be brilliant.
I think we need to remember that sometimes, and I think this has been plotted out well. And it's like I keep talking about it as like a distraction match. It's a side mission for Swerve and Ospreay, isn't it? Who were kind of going for Mox, but they've been distracted by the Bucks, and now they got to get them out the way. I think that's fine, but like, even if it doesn't make logical sense here, like you said at the end of it, we're getting that match. Like, really, that's all wrestling matchmaking is. It's reasons for these matches to exist, and it's reasons to sell the pay-per-view on the match that you're going to get to see, and we're going to get to see that match. I mean, I've seen a bit of criticism of like Swerve's willingness to accept Ospreay and to be all rah company and stuff like that, but I honestly trust them. That's going to pay off. I think clearly we've got another Ospreay Swerve match down the line, or something will come of this tag. It won't be the end. There'll be some other side story that comes of that. I'm absolutely fine with that. I think that's been really well done, and the Bucks look motivated, and especially a Dynamite like this week, Dynamite 300, you wanted that big party match on it, didn't you? And the Bucks are perfect to give you that. They fit perfectly into that role, and it slips them back into the PWG chance. It slips them back into what they mostly seem to enjoy doing. I could have done without the video package. I imagine me and JP will go more into that on Weekend Show tomorrow. You still got that element of the goofy element of it, but it feels a little bit self-aware in a positive way of like, this whole like, oh, we've got this corporate power stuff. It feels like I didn't love that last week, and I didn't love it this week, but it feels like a means to an end. It feels like addressing head on a complaint all of us had about AEW. Like, hang on, what is their power? What are these EVPs? Like, we're saying that outright, and we're making it part of this story so that hopefully we can put it in the rear view. It'd be an interesting story to go the Cody route, and Swerve and Ospreay don't ever get to have a title match again, which is obviously the other side of that stipulation. But I don't see it going that way. I think it's a way to move us away from all of that, authority figure distraction we've had with the Bucks, and in their very typical way, hitting that nail on the head in the meantime for the last couple of weeks while they can with those video packaging and all of that nonsense. That's just kind of what you get with them.
And then that's like intriguing to me. It's like, okay, well, if the Bucks are no longer EVPs, and then they're in this situation where they haven't got the power, and then you think from like a character development point of view of them, think of like, oh shit, yeah, we've got to get back, we've got to get back to the start kind of thing of where, what are we here for, what are we all about sort of thing as well. It just, again, it just gives you that introduction to the next layer of what the Bucks are in AEW from a from a character and story development point of view as well, and that's interesting because that they're basically, they've run the course to this point, haven't they, as to who they are. There is nowhere for them to go under this current guy's on-screen presence, association with the off-screen EVP stuff and things like that. So just gives them a total fresh coat of paint as well from the off.
Absolutely. I'll fire a couple of questions at you before I know you need to go before half past. But Jordan asked in the chat, be interested to know where you think Mox ends up in 2027. Should he leave AEW, or does he renew? Again, like me and JP talked about it, because the story was he was leaving in 2025, and that was a point we've talked about before, that you could absolutely see him walking out, or it felt like you could a couple of months ago. But yeah, JP obviously mentioned him possibly falling out with AEW, which has been one of Steph's talking points as well. But I don't know. 2027 feels a long time away. I could definitely see him there, seeing that contract out after that. I'm not too sure.
I mean, for me, it's one where with the role he's had, and the clearly the central nature of this main event, storyline, and the way this has gone through, he's clearly been invested in what he's doing to this point, because he's very concerned about what he's doing to that level. So again, unless with me no longer being on Twitter, there's stuff out there on Twitter and things like that that suggests otherwise. To me, it almost feels like you'd be in the realms with him of take him off TV, and then he comes back freshened up in a different way, or something like that potentially. It's something that there's always that element to do where when he's gone off in the past and come back with ideas and things like that. I think he's probably got that pull and that power that then they can think of, okay, well, if I'm on TV, I'm not just doing anything kind of thing. I want a purpose, and I want a program here that we've got, and I think they must have that closeness to be able to work to those levels. If we're talking about him still being around there till 2027, then you could see realistically what we got there to a year and a half. You could see sort of 3 meaty programs happening there with different people that he hasn't worked with along that way, and then if it'd be a fool not to go back to the WWE at that point, because they throw a fucking boatload of money at him, and then there's just natural stuff on the table there as well. And as we've seen, time is a healer for all, especially when the dollar bills are thrown into the mix.
But it's funny, I can't picture him in WWE now. Just the man he's kind of become, and the way he carries himself, and the grumbles he has about AEW, and the grumbles he had about WWE back in the day. He'd be grumbling again, of course he would, the second he got back through the door, because nothing, I guess things have changed to an extent, but it's not changed in ways that seem like they would suit him as a personality. But he seems like a different human now, both in presentation and, the thought process and the way he works and stuff like that. He's just, he needs that type of wrestler, just needs to be free. It's always wild to me that when they brought him in the first place, when he was balding, long hair John Moxley on the Indies and CZW and stuff like that, and Evolve and Dragon Gate USA, it never felt like a fit for him to go into WWE, and it was strangely for a while, but it really doesn't feel like it'd be a fit now. So I could see him leaving AEW in 2027. I couldn't see him going back to WWE. I think that's wishful thinking. I think if anyone's after Shield reunion 5.0, I'm not sure you're getting it.
That'll 100% happen at some point. There's too much money on the table for it not to. And
Do you think?
Triple H will have been booted out by that point. Regal will be booking.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he loves Regal. Oh, you know what? That's the way back. You know what? 2020, like I said before, 2027 is a long way off. So actually, maybe that could go that route. Other quick questions. He's someone who asked about the Better Booker question. We answered that. He asked, should AEW use Britt Baker more? Obviously there was it's been, I don't know if you've been following the news, bodyslam.net originally reporting that she was trying to get a release from AEW, obviously with the Pittsburgh Raw and the Evolution coming up, and stuff like that. I mean, the follow-up report from Fightful, I think Meltzer, but definitely Fightful and a couple of other outlets have basically said there is no truth to the story and Britt Baker is not trying to get out of a contract. She doesn't seem happy when you look at her tweets and some of the things she is alluding to about, she made like this point about a bottle of water being, 50p in one place, £5 in another, and, a tenner in an airport. Enough about my trips here in Vietnam. But outside of that, I don't think there's actually much to that. But if she is unhappy, let's say she is, and it was clearly becoming a problem on TV. Like, remember where it was Serena, when Serena came out and she was literally mouthed at the camera. And that was the last time she was on telly, wasn't it? Nobody cares. Like, it just felt like it was coming. They're trying to push her as a babyface, and she just seems like that inner knobhead in her. She just can't hold it in, can she? It's always coming out. So, like, yeah, I think you'd be right to not use it on TV, I think. It's unfortunate, and you'd like to think maybe some better management would not have gotten us to this situation. I think now that we're in the situation we're in, I don't know if the solution is to start using her again. It feels like that bridge is burned.
I forgot she even existed. Like, literally. It's
plus, she's not at the level anymore, is she? Look at that Wembley match,
She is absolutely not at that. You look at the women's roster in AEW now and go, like, would you put her in the top 6 people? Like, no, you wouldn't. Like, absolutely not. Like, she's probably scraping in sort of towards sort of 8, 9, 10, I would say. Like, if you were writing names down of who you want on your card, and probably at the back end of that. Like, and if she's going to be a sulky ass because she's not the main star and involved in the main stuff, then you don't want her on your TV at all. Like, she's literally not somebody who's gonna, if they cut her tomorrow and she goes to WWE, so what? Is she going to move the needle for WWE? No. Is she going to move it for NXT? Absolutely not, kind of thing. Do you get a bad attitude out of your locker room? Yeah, like, just leave it up to her. Do you want to sit at home and fucking gab your contract, or do you want to piss off? Like, because either way, you have nothing to anyone at the moment. And, like, who cares about her, to be honest?
How quickly is the narrative change with WWE where it's like, they'll magically know what to do with insert person, and then too many insert people have gone and either been buried on NXT, well, not buried, but you know what I mean, hidden away on NXT, or they haven't actually got the most out of them like you thought they would on the main roster. I think you add that to it, and you just add to the fact that WWE just seem to be, based on like the stories this week, there's interest in Private Party, there's interest in Daddy Magic, like, and it feels like they're just willing to take anybody. It's the reverse problem we used to have, where it felt like Tony Khan had signed anybody who used to be on WWE TV. We're now going the other way, and like, yeah, that was the people's conspiracy theory at one point, wasn't it? That like Vince McMahon had said on a conference call, oh, we let them have like our offshoots, or we let them, almost like they're destroying it from him. We let them have our crap ones, see if we can help them out. I think was the Vince McMahon quote. Feels like the reverse is happening now, where it's like, yeah, you want Scorpio Sky, go on, you can have him. Or you want Daddy Magic, you can have him. Insert whoever's allegedly on the outside at this point.
Brian Pillman must be headlining for the world title at SummerSlam by now, surely. That was the big get, wasn't it? And that was the downfall of AEW, wasn't it? The Brian Pillman
NXT.
There, and they knew how to use him so much better.
NXT Summer Sizzler. Your boy Ricky Starks, mate, becoming Ricky Saints becoming the star you always knew he would. Hasn't happened yet. Well, he was out for Cody's birthday this week, so that might get him in somewhere. That was a funny picture to see him and the lads still knocking around with codes.
Carrying Cody's bags. That's about all he's good for, mate.
QT Marshall was there as well. He's the one that Cody's not been able to get in. I'm convinced that little couple of month period where QT Marshall disappeared from AEW, he was thinking Cody could get him in, and they're like, not him though. Like, we'll take Sean Spears, but not him. Like, come on, we got standards here. And I like QT Marshall. He's all right. What could WWE do with Private Party? Job them to the wire 6? I don't know. But yeah, of course, like 3.0 were in XT. Like you forget they were, as a team for that little short period. Jesus, when you think about it. But I'll let you go on this last question there, Gareth. Keep it as short as you like. Ewan did ask what was your favourite set of Glastonbury. I asked Stephanie an off-topic question. I was going to ask you what your favourite podcasts were. You can give me them as well if you want. But yeah, what was your highlight of Glastonbury this week before we let you go?
Highlight of Glastonbury. Let me think. I think that I really enjoyed Amel and the Sniffers were probably my number one set, I would say, of the whole. I thought she's just a fucking force of nature. Like she's just so good musically, and just as a front woman, just like there's not many out there as good as her from that point of view. I think like other musically stuff, like I thought Fat Dog were really good, like in a smaller tent. I thought they really got the crowd going great there. I thought Father John Misty was amazing. I'd have killed to have been in that Father John Misty performance. Like he was outstanding. But then I mean there was loads like picking across the piece, like really like Biba Doobie, like her voice is insane. Seeing her sort of like playing guitar live as well was great stuff. Like I thought Pulp made me second guess not buying tickets for them, because that was someone who had just been like leave the memories alone, and that was but they pulled it out there. But so many. Wet Leg were great as always, and much to go against Jeff Ogden. I thought English Teacher were really good, but then again I like them, so I'm always going to think that. Yeah, loads. There was probably 15 that I saw there, and I've still not caught up and watched The Prodigy from Sunday yet, which everyone tells me was absolutely outstanding. So again, I've got that one in the back pocket for this week.
It's the old ones do it best. Steph went to see Guns N' Roses at Wembley last week. So they were brilliant. Axl Rose got on stage. I almost said Axl Rotten. Got on stage at 7:00 on the dot. Did a full 3 hours with like a 2-minute break in the middle, and his voice was great too. And it's like, there you go, the old ones. More than what you got out of him when you saw him. Guess he's back.
I heard him sounding like the old nonce off Family Guy. The way he sings these days, but he held it better than when I saw them. But definitely leave the memories alone for me, that one.
Sometimes that's the best. Same way with my rap acts. But no, it's been fun chatting to you, mate. I'm saying this like you're a guest. Like I'm not going to literally chat to you again on Sunday. We'll see you on the European title show, and we'll have retro out soon as well, won't we? With obviously Matty's been otherwise engaged this week, but I know you guys have got plans to get a couple in the can this month. Yeah, we've got non-grapple commitments, meaning that Bretro was a struggle to get recorded this month. But yeah, we'll catch up on those. We've got our schedule mapped out for those, so a couple more of them to come along. But yeah, nice to get the chance to come on and just have a bit of a chat, really, and because it was good to go feeling all positive about AEW, chat through some of the reasons why, and I didn't even need to come on here and do 10 minutes on why CM Punk's shit these days either. So save that for another day. I'll keep that on the holster. One word thoughts on CM Punk this week?
I couldn't do it in one word, but yeah, not my CM Punk. AI CM Punk is the way I'm thinking of it. Phone it in, Phil. I think that's the new line it needs to be.
He's getting his money, but there we go. We'll get you on air on Punk at some point soon, mate. I'll let you run, and I'll close this off.
Spot on. Nice one. Have a good one, mate. Catch up with you soon.
Catch you soon. And I'll keep it short with Gareth gone with the technical issues that we had at the top of the show. Just to say, obviously, of course, patreon.com/grapple to get the retro when it does eventually come out, and to get all of our all of the shows as well too. But yeah, there we go. I was going to say we didn't have many other questions for me to get through, other than somebody did ask about AJ Lee, and apparently she posted a picture on her Instagram, teasing herself in her Converse boots. I reckon Gareth might have thoughts on those Converse boots. Could she be coming back at Evolution 2? I mean, maybe that's the trade-off to Gareth's point. You know, that's what maybe that's the true factor that's keeping Phil. You know, being Phil, and I'm willing to put up with the shit that he's putting up with because he knows, you know, AJ Lee's maybe coming back. I could see her doing it as a one-off. But she's always like, I don't want to put my trust in her because I don't put my trust in Phil anymore. But she does seem the type to stick to her guns. She's had multiple opportunities to come back in the past, and it's almost like, unlike some of the other wrestlers, she's recognised that her better days were probably in the past, and that maybe, you know, like we were talking about with Britt Baker, she might not necessarily be able to keep up with the Joneses and keep up with the current talent. So we'll see, but I don't think she does that for no reason either. I think, like Phil, she knows exactly who she's winding up and what she's doing. Does she post that every Rumble? Platt says, okay, there you go. So maybe she does know exactly what she's doing there, but there you go. We'll see if that comes out of it. Oh, you and saying he's really enjoying the lives, Jordan, as well. Yeah, I'd like to do. I'm going to probably do a little bit more on Twitch as well, but obviously we'll test the technology first over these next 6 weeks before we get into it. Somebody on Twitch did send me a link to this when we were talking about time before, and I want to bring this up as like and call this our "I'm finally" story. But did everybody see the thing somebody posted on? I think it was on Reddit with a W. At least that's the link I've got, where it was comparing the ages. Speaking of time, and speaking of you know, the things that can happen in a small amount of years compared to years past, like AEW's entire run being or WCW's entire run being equivalent to AEW. Yeah, somebody drew attention to the different age ranges of the wrestlers in the year 2000 compared to 2025. I kind of looked at this and I was like, at the same time though, is this not just literally time in that time moves on? Like they pointed out in the year 2000, so the ages of the big WWE stars in 2000, Rock is 28, Stone Cold Steve Austin 36 in the year 2000. Jesus, he started late. That's quite old, I think. Comparatively, obviously young compared to me. Undertaker 35, Foley 35, Triple H himself only 31. I would have believed he was 40 at that point himself. Kurt Angle 32, Shawn Michaels 35. Shawn's only 35 in the year 2000. He wasn't active though, so I don't know if that counts. But basically, yeah, you get the gist. They're all 30 odd, and then you compare it to the current age of the top WWE talent. You know, Cody Rhodes at 40, Roman Reigns at 40 as well. Not wrong with being 40 or 41 in my view. John Cena 48, Randy Orton 45, Gunther. That's a standout one. Gunther being 37, but I think that's a difference, isn't it? Like Gunther obviously had a career for himself before he got to WWE. You know, talking a decade plus of, you know, some of the best matches that we've a lot of us have all ever seen before he got there. Seth Rollins 39, Punk at 46, Drew at 40, Kevin Owens 41, Jey Uso 39. Average is obviously it's a lot higher, but I just feel like a lot of those wrestlers are people who were around not long after the year 2000 and they're still going, so of course they're going to comparatively be that age. I mean, maybe it speaks to a deeper problem with WWE in general of like, yeah, you would think at some point they would invest a little bit more in youth and they would you know, have some younger main eventers. They will pull the trigger on a few more NXT talent. Maybe it speaks to what Gareth said before about like NXT's biggest strength was always pulling from the indies and pulling those guys like your Finn Balor's and your Sami Zayns who had a career before they had a career in WWE, so they were always going to be starting late, even if on a spreadsheet somewhere at WWE corporate when it came to the conference calls and stuff like that. They could point at them and say they were homegrown WWE people, but yeah, that's kind of the consequence of that, isn't it, really? And you think of like who they made out of like that mini list there, really. I guess Roman Reigns is an original WWE guy, and John Cena, of course, but all the rest of them, you know, Gunther, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, even a Drew McIntyre. I guess he got in there young, Kevin Owens, all people who had a story before WWE got on top of their story. Tom says here, yeah, they could get access to younger talent. They'd probably use them. Simon, if only that had been an in-house training center to create young stars. Yeah, you got to give them a chance. The NXT's only just got going. The performance center is only just starting. Jordan saying Big Show in 2000 is 1 year off what he is now. That's the scary part. It's like football players, isn't it? When you start to get over and like, I know I used to look at people like my uncles and stuff like that, or my dad's mates, and like, it's like you idolize these young lads who are like 22, like, and you're like 50, and now I'm getting towards 50, and it's like, yeah, all the rest of us are like are still younger than me, and they're getting younger. That's just the circle of life, I suppose. Jordan, yeah, Jericho is the only active one out of the 2000 list that you could say, depending on whether Steve comes back. Steve and Punk could have a combined one of the older stages for a Mania main event if that happens next year. So yeah, but again, I just feel like it's just that's just time, really. That's just how it works. I'd be interested in seeing like what an AEW one looks like, because AEW's a similar thing, isn't it? AEW got started with a lot of indie guys and a lot of our favorite wrestlers who'd had 10-15 year careers, and you know, had plenty of bumps on their bump card. But then you think about like who they've gotten over as their guys. I guess Hangman Page is still relatively young. What would he be? Early 30s. Swerve, Ospreay would probably pull the age down a little bit. Although Swerve, I think, is a touch older than you would think. But I think their average age is going to clearly be younger, and that might pay dividends, you know, coming, you know, down the line as far as like appealing to that younger demo. That's kind of what's kind of worked with NXT, you know, and managed to lower their demo from their average of about 60 odd or whatever it was. But anyway, yeah, maybe I'll get JP's takes on that on weekend show. Couple more questions before I get out of here. Jordan asks, where am I off to after Vietnam? I'm not sure. I am considering definitely going to Japan at some point. Like, Steph wants to come over. It's a real shame because Joe's going to Japan in August, and I think he's going to go to the G1 final, and we were at least half making plans to go together. Maybe I should be glad with the recent New Japan booking and whatever is going on there that I'm not going to be there for it. But I can't imagine it's going to be any better later in the year. I'm thinking of going in about October time. So that's kind of shuffled plans along a little bit. I am told, by the way, that Zack Sabre Jr.'s, from somebody who I think would know, that Zack Sabre Jr.'s win was very much a long-term plan thing, despite everything the booking told you and how they booked Goto versus how they booked Zack Sabre Jr. Plans didn't change. That was always the plan. So I don't know whether that should fill me with more confidence for whatever. Anything big is a tag league in October. Isn't that November, December time? I thought there was when's Power Struggle? Can I get over there at that point? Singapore is a shout. Jordan says here, maybe I could make a trip over there. That's on the list. I'm going next month. I've got to go back to Bangkok. It's a visa thing. My Vietnam visa's running out. I've got a month less on it than I should have gotten because I had to put all my plans back. So going back to Bangkok. My mum's going to be in Koh Samui, which is a lovely beach island. So I'm going to be going over there for a week or two to meet up with her, and my stepdad Paul, and Hamflet, who isn't my stepdad, is going to be in Bangkok next month as well. So I'll probably meet up with him. Then maybe Chiang Mai in Thailand, and then maybe Cambodia, maybe Japan at some point, maybe Laos, something like that. Jordan says, yeah, he'd love a Chris Brooks to cross over with Rev Joe. Yeah, maybe Chris Brooks's Asia tour might coincide with whatever Joe is. King of Pro Wrestling's normally in early October. Have we had a date for that yet? Maybe I could plan a trip around that and go. Either way, it'd be good, wouldn't it? I mean, does it matter whether the wrestling's good or not? It'd just be cool to be in, Korakuen Hall, or, could even go to like an Osaka or something like that. Or literally when JP does a weekend show, when he says your old haunt, it could be my literal old haunt. It'd just be fun to do that, wouldn't it? Go to all like the wrestling shops and stuff like that, and buy bits of merch and things like that. Benno reviews DDT. Yeah, see what kind of non-C promotions I could go to, and then yeah, it feels like there's a lot of them on offer. They feel easier to get tickets for, so maybe I'll go to some weird Joshi promotions and stuff like that. Yeah, first 2 weekends, John says here, of King of Pro Wrestling, Power Struggle, and then start in November in Osaka. So maybe I'll make that my plan when I get out there. But there we go. That's my plans going forward. Obviously, hopefully, your lot plans. We're going to be working out what we're doing with Weekend Show next week. I think so. Tomorrow's going to be Weekend Show on the Patreon with me and JP. Sunday, we're going to be doing Story of the European title with me, Matty, and Gareth is the plan, and Spotlight with me and JP Tuesday. I think I'm going to do another one of these lives next Wednesday, as next Thursday is going to be the big weekend show going into All In. It is All In. We've got to treat it. AW are treating it like it's their WrestleMania, so I think we owe them the duty of treating it like it's WrestleMania too. And obviously, with it being on the on the Saturday night, we'd like to get the previews a little bit earlier. So yeah, weekend show will be next Thursday. I need to get back to JP and sort that out. And then I meant to mention to Gareth, but I'll catch him off here. We'll figure out. Well, I'd like to do a more timely review of All In as well. So maybe we can get that in the can on the Sunday, and then we'll figure out what we're doing with all the Patreon shows, Connor's show, and all stuff like that. Open invite to Connor. Hopefully we get him on the preview on Sunday as well. But yeah, next weekend will be madness. We've got All In to cover, Evolution to cover. We'll probably cover NXT. I was thinking about it. I'll probably do like some kind of All In review with Gareth and maybe JP or both or something like that. And then maybe me and Matty will jump on, and if people are enjoying them, do one of these lives and catch up on whatever the Fed were up to and what the gigantic developments were at Evolution when Trish Stratus took on AJ Lee or whatever happens there. We'll find a way. And of course, we'll have to cover Saturday night's main event as well with the big Goldberg Gunther match. I was trying to explain to a couple of my German friends I met over here that they were telling me their old favorite wrestlers when they were watching on DSF in the 90s, 2000s were Bret Hart and Bill Goldberg. And I was like, oh, Goldberg's still going. He's actually wrestling. He's Austrian. He's not German. Touchy subject, but it's close enough. And he claims Germany, and he wrestled there, and their eyes just glazed over. They did not care, but I don't think he's a national hero yet, like he should be. ROH pay-per-view next weekend as well, John says. So yeah, we've got that to cover as well. We'll do like a full brand split that weekend. We'll do All In and ROH together, and we'll do the WWE matters together as well. And yeah, we'll have to cover it on an emergency podcast if as Platt says here. The real big Bill Goldberg wins the WWE World title. But in any event, that's all coming up. Plenty going on. Like I say, Retro will be out soon. And again, if you are out there watching us in YouTube land and you have been missing us on the audio, should be out on Spotify now. We're definitely on Acast. I can tell you that. That's the home of all our podcasts at this point. But yeah, Benno and Hamlet, same story. Should be able to find us everywhere podcasts are sold. If we're not showing up with new episodes on your podcast player for the last couple of weeks, maybe unsubscribe, resubscribe again, or unsubscribe and search for us again in your given app, and you'll find us. But yeah, thank you once again for everybody tuning in for this GRAPPL Live. We'll keep them going through the summer, but in the meantime, go forth and love and serve the Lord, I think JP says, and we will catch you again on the weekend show tomorrow. Good night all.